Hello, welcome to my channel. You're on Eva J's Mystical Messages, and today I am on day number 3 into the Meadow, and I want to start with a little reading here. I've got tarot cards today. That's what Spirit is leading me to work with. So we'll see what card comes up and how I may be able to read it and what I may be able to take away from it. These cards are from the deck called Cat Tarot, and when I turn the camera around to show the card, then I can show you the box. So here, I'm shuffling the cards so you can see that I am actually shuffling these, so we can see what card will come up for today. And similar to what Gary and David do on the Twin Tarot, they show a secret or a special card for each day. So I'm going to kind of go with that and that idea. And I'm just going to pull one card and I'm going to see what card it is and what it means and what it could mean in relation to today's meditation. So that is how I'm going to do it today. Thank you also for the comments about my flute playing yesterday. That really made me happy. And I will be bringing the flute into the meditations in future days. But I won't say specifically when I will do that. I just will spontaneously decide to do that. So here we go with the cards. Okay. Giving them a good shuffle here. And so the card on top is the King of Wands. Okay, I will turn it around so that you can see it in the way that it's supposed to. Okay, there we go. And my table is clean. So yeah, the King of Wands. The cat is seems to be in charge of everything that is going on. And to me, what Spirit tells me is that this card is, it's about taking charge of what is important, and also not allowing people to play with me and to play with my emotions and my feelings and things of that nature. So any tarot readers who might be watching, maybe you can give a little bit of insight as to what this card actually means in reference to the meditation. And that would be interesting to see what different interpretations come up with regards to it. The card is from the deck called Cat Tarot, which is, here we go. Whoops. There we go. Cat Tarot, which I think is an absolutely adorable tarot deck. I absolutely love these cards, and even if I don't know what they mean, I still love the images. The cats are just so amazing. The drawings are really cute, and I really like them. So I will be using them. When I use tarot, I will be using them. So I'm going to return this back around and set it up here so that I don't... There we go. Okay, so that was a little bit easier than on 2 days ago when I tried to do that and it didn't work so well. So I'm going to start with the meditation now. I release all negative energies and all stuff and allow only the light to come through. And I will continue with the meditations and on day 3, and today is March 15th, 2025. I start out by saying, they say that something's supposed to happen today, but I don't feel all that different than I did yesterday. And Nigel says, externally perhaps, but internally you are sensing a shift, are you not? I said, oh yes, I mean that feeling inside that all is well. Yes, it's there. There's a small part of me that feels like everything is upside down. Nigel says, in the physical world, it is all rather upside down, but internally is where we are trying to focus. Of course, I would be remiss if I did not acknowledge that because of your place in the world, this is important. There is an impact. I said, how can I find the balance between the two? I mean, we all live in the physical world, so there's always going to be stuff that will have an impact on what is going on internally. Nigel said, recognition of this is part of the journey. Consider this. You were in some of your external impacts yesterday when you spoke of your grandfather. You were able to unpack the spiritual impacts of your relationship with him. The people in your life do have a bit of influence on where you are spiritually. Did you notice that when your friend made a statement about Ukraine, And you were silent? I said, yes, I noticed this. We disagreed about it, but my husband completely changed the subject to something else. I was grateful to him for doing that. I figured that instead of souring the visit with my own opinions, I decided to merely let this rest and move on to something else. Nigel says, yes, yet you often ponder how much into the spirituality your husband is in, but his action yesterday is changing the subject was an insight to his own spiritual nature. He is not someone who goes into spiritual discussions in some respects. He is a bit like Ramon in his logical observations and questions. By changing the subject, what did you notice? I said, I notice that he does that a lot when he is not comfortable with the discussions. Then I barrel ahead and still think that the stuff I was talking about is significant. I realize that when he does that it is to avoid arguments or confrontations. Why is it that it took me so long to recognize this? If I had seen it earlier, would have saved us from getting into insignificant rows with one another. Nigel said, as with any relationship, it takes time. You read each other well, and this ability is significant when you align not only yourself with him, but also with your guides. What do you feel since we started this new group of conversations? I said, well, I noticed when we first started, I felt a bit jumpy. I wasn't certain how well this would work. Nigel says, you began to really listen to what we were telling you. This is how you are changing internally. Everything you are doing is becoming a spiritual practice. When you have resolved yourself to not putting too much energy into things, you are finding that things are flowing. Remember when you spoke to Metatron and he had you make a fist? When you made that fist, you felt an unconscious tightening of your body. Your entire physical state was tight. There was no means of energy flow. You see that also as a reality in the physical world. When you were a child, you would take the garden hose and bend it. The flow of water would cease. I said, yes, but the pressure would build and build and build up until I had to let it go and the water would spew out. Depending on how firmly I or someone else was holding the other end of the hose, the water would gush out, sometimes springing out of our hand. Nigel said, yes, and the act of, as you said, the water gushing out is what is now happening here. And I said, how? And Nigel says, the realization that you are learning more and more is the release of that hose. The pressure of the knowledge that you are being bestowed with this now bursting forth. You are seeing this in real time. The knowledge is coming sometimes as so quickly that you are facing the challenge of keeping up. This is why we all three wanting to speak to you at once, but cannot because you are only able to take in so much. So we have to slow down and give it to you in small chunks. I said, I am too ignorant. And he said, no, you are writing as fast as you can. I can compare it in essence to you writing this down to reading the transcript aloud. When you write this down, it generally takes about an hour for you to get all of these ideas to paper. The other day, you consciously looked at the clock when you started, and the clock read 9:30 in the morning. You started writing, but when you put down your pencil, the clock read 10:30. You were so surprised that so much time had passed. This felt like an overflow of information, and you actually said as much. But when you pressed record and read back the message, your recording of it was about 15 to 20 minutes. You were surprised by how quickly you were able to read the message and how slowly it went by when you were writing it down. Our communications may, at the end of the written words, are rather like the composition of a song. And I said, how so? And Sunshine comes in and says, you have a deep love of music. So when we talk about your favorite song, you must recognize that the musician who wrote the music and the lyricist who wrote the words spend countless hours blending the words and music together to create an exceptionally strong balance. Create a song that will speak to your heart and touch your senses. It takes about 3 minutes to hear it, but it may take a month to create. This is why people often say the journey is the destination. When you sit down to write this, your mind is full of ideas. Only a small percentage of those ideas actually make it to paper. The act of creating something is a spiritual tool. You are a writer, and for a time, you felt blocked because you had no story ideas. The problem is you had so many ideas, you were like the hose being bent. Those ideas were not flowing. When you let go, the ideas came. You have nearly 4 notebooks with writing during the past months. This is going to continue because this hose is no longer bent. Your creativity is no longer being overflown with blocked ideas. It is now coming out. I said, does that mean that I can finish the stories I started? Or will I get so many new ideas that I cannot control them? Nigel says, you always have the control over the stories. It's just that you recognize you require concentration in writing. This will enable you to do the projects you started. You will bring things to their conclusion now that you are able to control the flow. I said, is that like being able to focus on certain things? And Nigel says, yes. The things that you wish to focus on will be able to continue in such a way that you shall not be overwhelmed. I notice that you have been overwhelmed by these activities. You ask yourself, do I have time to do my exercises, to take my walks, to balance your time is what you must do, not just with regards to these meditations, exercises, but with the practicing your flute, with organizing your belongings, with exercise, with writing. It does not mean that you must do all these things every day at a specific time, but you must allow the energy to continue to flow in the direction that you wish it to go. Like with our working together, all the things, even the mundane things like cleaning the bathroom or peeling potatoes, can be a spiritual practice. You can create your Meadow light ideals is all the things that you choose to do. The simple acts like walking or listening to music can become meaningful exercises. I said, I notice when I practice my flute that when I don't strain myself with it, and Nigel interrupts and says, it flows. You are learning in a profound way that acceptance and gratitude are a very good way to manifest the results that you want to see. I said, I remember before, I felt like I was in a sort of competition with my husband to reach special stations with the radio. After endlessly trying, I resolved myself to not getting them. And Nigel said, some of them you reached. I said, yes, but when I let go of the notion that this was some sort of contest, then I said that it was meant to be, it will be. During that, I ended up getting the stations as well. It no longer felt like a competition. It felt instead like it was an accomplishment. And Nigel says, yes, you recognized that, and suddenly it became easier. How did you feel before when your husband reached a station that you did not reach? And I said, I felt resentful. And Nigel said, why? I said, I guess I felt like a failure, like I couldn't measure up. It was sort of stupid, but it was the way I felt. And Nigel said, yet, you changed that perspective after a time. There were moments when you reached stations that he did not. How did you feel then? I said, I felt guilty. Ideally, I would have preferred that we both got the station. Nigel said, do you see what happened there? You were sad and resentful when he got something you wanted. Then you were feeling guilt for having something he wanted. What does that mean spiritually? I said that maybe that feeling guilt, I was afraid that he resented me for getting the station like I resented him for getting it. And Nigel says, you on your own recognized the fallacy of your behavior. How did you feel today in relation to that? I said, I'm happy for him when he accomplishes a goal, and he's happy for me when I do. Wow, who needs a marriage counselor when you got your guides? Nigel said, perhaps, but you recognize this on your own, as it was before you began working with meditation here. Let's try something else. In human relations, you are finding that the acceptance of others are enabling you to maintain your own spiritual balance. What have you been doing to maintain a sense of balance? What practices are you changing and altering to keep that state of equilibrium? I said, well, aside from the obvious, I'm not feeling dependent on watching an obscene amount of news. I am instead listening to people who are helping to maintain my balance. When I start watching the news, I am finding that the commentators who are energetically negative makes me want to shut off the news and go off and do other things. Nigel said, this is where your spiritual self setting boundaries for the amount of information you wish to take in. Sometimes it becomes important for you to do that. It makes you feel less out of balance with the physical versus the spiritual world. I said, did today feel rather like the physical to you? Because it did to me. And Nigel said, no, love. It was the balance. We all know that this is not about you just closing your eyes and going within. In order to maintain the balance spiritually, you must also reconcile your physical and emotional state of being. Being of the light does not only encapsulate deep thoughts and the idea of being in a constant meditative state. Sometimes you must look at the things around you, at the relationships you have. If you cut yourself off too much with your friends and loved ones, you will become a virtual hermit. You have the physical realm to contend with, the physical reality of your husband and friends. You have all of your hobbies, interests, and groups. You must not confine yourself to only being in a spiritual safe space. You have the opportunity to enhance your physical reality through going within. It will enhance things. It will also assist you in not being worried about the things or people that you would otherwise consume yourself with worry about. The balance here is the key, Yvette. The ability to maintain that will show in your day-to-day interactions. The people will begin to see a change in you and in your energy. Instead of worrying about being judged, you will begin to see people smiling and laughing. Instead of allowing yourself to feel consumed with events of the day, you will feel that there is a levity in your manner. I said, is that why I am not hearing much from Sunshine or Ramon today? And Nigel said, oh, they are both here. Sunshine is smirking, no doubt about my being long-winded. But today is about balance. You are finding that balance throughout our discussions, are you not? I said, yes, I am. And there is something about this that really helped. I really thought that there was a connection between physical and spiritual. That is kind of amazing. And Nigel said, oh, you saw it. It just never really, you just never really fully unpacked it. You're seeing that all of these things are woven together in such a way that makes it sort of a tapestry. In finding your balance between these aspects of your life, you will find that when you do not fight against it, that things will work out naturally. It is akin to you having two radio contacts instead of one. When you let go of anger or resentment, just look at how far you can go and the things that you will reach. It is very much the way of the universe, in both the physical and spiritual sense. You are seeing things happening and you are changing and growing with them. Through that, you will continue to notice the small subtleties of your experiences, and it will enhance your life, make things easier, and your relationships will flourish. I said, thank you, Nigel. And he said, anytime, love, anytime. So that is the end of today's meditation and also the end of this notebook. I just finished filling it up, so it's done. So yes, I am typing this into the computer. I'm trying to find the time to do that, but I have so many other activities going on that I don't get a chance to always do that. So I'm going to try and do that in the coming weeks and months ahead. I will try and get all of these meditations typed up and into a book. I'm still looking into all of that, and I think it will come as it should. Another note that I want to make is that, in 3 weeks I will be going on vacation, so I'm trying to decide how I'm going to continue with the channel during that time when I'm away, but I think that it will work out. I may just make little small 5-minute videos each day while I'm away, but that's in 3 weeks, so that'll give me some time to actually contemplate how I'm going to proceed. At any rate, balance is the key. I guess that's the key word for today. And when I look at that King of Wands card that I pulled earlier, I'm wondering if there's something to do with balance with regards to that card. I mean, it just when I think about it, I wonder. But at the same instance, I also am such a novice with tarot that I'm still trying to fight myself as far as what the cards mean. So maybe I should go and get a book or so about reading tarot and maybe study it a little bit. But whatever spirit guides me to do, I will do. Any rate, I've been babbling for 20 minutes, so I'm going to say have a great day. It's Saturday. The weather's not all that great, but we'll see what happens. We're going to the club station. I'm going to try and get another station, so wish me luck. I hope you have a wonderful day, whatever it is you're doing, wherever it is you are in the world. Take care, and as always, namaste.